Hybrids that not only win at the pump, but hold their value longer. Are titans of technology with more moves than the Chicago point guard and just as much range. Mile after quality mile. Get your QMPG ASAP at your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Honda dealer. Honda gets Chicagoland.
Hamilton is returning. Get tickets today for the Tony, Olivier, Grammy, and Pulitzer Prize-winning musical. It's the story of America then, told by America now. In Chicago at the James M. Niederlander Theater. Get tickets at BroadwayInChicago.com.
This is Beer in Front, part of the Odd Pods Media Network. Sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet. I'll talk about some old school beers that maybe you've forgotten about, some new beers that have the potential to be a classic. I'll also talk to various people around the beer world and get their stories all about beer. That's Beer in Front, and it's coming up now. Welcome to the July 6th edition of Beer in Front. This is episode 166. I'm your host, Dave Zalatoris, and Beer in Front is a proud member of the Odd Pods Media Network. I have a good show for you today. I talked to Clay Gentry over at Hello Monty in Dynamo Brewing. They're located in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I had some of their beers, and they were spectacular. I've talked countless times on the show how much I love Vienna lagers, and their Vienna lager is world-class, one of the best I've had, and that was an interesting talk, so please stay tuned for that. Ruby and I had a fun week. Over the weekend, we went to the new steakhouse that's part of Smoke Barbecue here in Chicago. It's called Smoke Steak. It's on Elston Avenue, and I highly recommend that for my Chicago folks. Really good steaks. The prices were good for a steakhouse. You can get out of there without getting a second mortgage. I thought the food was good. Had a nice vodka martini that was fantastic as well. So if you're in the Chicago area and you like good steaks, I would recommend Smoke Steakhouse. In the next few weeks, I have interviews and shows lined up with Ryan over at Soundtrack Your Life, from Barry and Abigail over at Pops on Hops, and also I'm recording this intro on Saturday, and today I went to Second City Meadery, and I discussed mead, and I had some great meads there. I haven't talked about mead on the show, but Second City Meadery I thought was terrific, so look for that episode to drop in a couple weeks as well. I haven't mentioned a Jagoff on the show in a long time. And when I met up with Rod J a couple weeks ago, he mentioned that I need to start doing that some more. And I have a Jagoff right now. And it's not one, it's a lot of them. The people that blow off fireworks, not just July 4th, but the week leading up to it and afterwards. You guys are Jagoffs. My poor dog has been sitting trembling in the corner for the last 5 or 6 nights because you jamokes with a small tinky want to blow off firecrackers. So you guys are a bunch of Jagoffs. If you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/beerinfront. That'll help me buy more Prozac for little Moira Rose because she's trembling from the fireworks. So if you want to support the show, please head over to patreon.com/beerinfront. Or if you like what you're hearing right now or watching over on YouTube, please hit like and subscribe. That helps the show as well. I've been putting out more content over on YouTube, not just beer reviews. I put out some pizza reviews. I had one from Jimmy's, which is a local spot here that puts out fantastic pizza. So please head over to YouTube. And enough of you have watched that last week I hit my 10,000th view, or I don't know how they calculate it because I have a lot of YouTube shorts, but I thank everyone that has watched some of these silly videos over on YouTube. All right, let's stop yapping here and let's kick this podcast off, shall we? In beer news this week, tickets for the Great American Beer Festival. They go on sale next week, July 12th. The festival is once again in Denver on September 21st through the 23rd. So if you're interested, head over to the Great American Beer Festival's website and you could purchase tickets for the 2023 edition of the Great American Beer Festival. I have some friends that work at Wrigley Field, and I need to have words with them. The Chicago Cubs tweeted out that the next time you go to Wrigley Field, you could have a home run in pizza. And it's a legendary, I love their frozen pizzas here, but they have restaurants here in Chicago. Home Run Inn has a pizza, and I think it's only at Wrigley Field. This is a beer-flavored pizza. So I don't know about this, but I'm going to have to put the word out and see if I can find out more on this beer-flavored pizza. It's not beer-related, but sometimes I talk about weird flavored soda pops and things of that nature. But starting on July 4th at certain stadiums, you can get a ketchup that's flavored with Pepsi Zero, and they're calling this Cola Chup. I don't like ketchup. And the picture shows it on the hot dog, which every self-loving Chicagoan knows you never put ketchup on a hot dog. So I don't know about this, but if you're a ketchup fan, you're a ketchup on a hot dog fan, and you're at a ballpark, let me know what you think of this. There was a good article over on Beer Connoisseur, and if you're not a subscriber, I suggest you do it. I like the magazine and the articles they put out, but they had a really cool article in the recent issue about Lithuanian farmhouse brewing. I'm half Lithuanian, and I need to know more about this. If there's anyone that's out there listening in Lithuania and you can get me some of these beers, they look fascinating. I'd like to try it. Their beer is brewed in this large pot over an open fire with local ingredients. It sounds fascinating to me. I would love to try some of these. There's an alcohol delivery company out there called Saucy, Saucey, and they promise to deliver in less than an hour, and you could get your beer and spirits, but they're expanding where you could get cigarettes and vape pens and sexual wellness devices. So if you need alcohol and a pack of condoms, I guess you could get it in under an hour if you go to Saucy, and then you're going to need a pack of cigarettes when you're done. So check out Saucy for that. Welcome back. Hello Monty and Dynamo Brewing and Beverage are leaders in Chattanooga when it comes to fine dining and drinking. Located at 306 West Main Street, they have a menu that looks terrific, and I could tell you firsthand that their Vienna Lager is one of the finest I've ever had. Joining me today is Clay Gentry, who along with his brother Rob have a place that foodies, beer aficionados, along with everyone else is going to feel like you're at home at. Clay, thanks so much for joining and coming on this morning. How are you today?
I'm well, Dave. Thanks for having me, man.
You have over 30 years of experience in brewing, and you're the top of the seniority list in Chattanooga for brewers. How did Hello Monty and how did your career come about?
Unfortunately, I have to admit, my career came about through nepotism.
Okay.
My brother Rob and a restaurateur named Tim Hennon back in 1993 opened the first brewery it was the third brewery in Tennessee after Prohibition. And it was definitely the first brewery in Chattanooga after Prohibition. And it's still open. It's a brew pub called Big River Grill. Rob was the first brewer, and he was just trying to figure it out, doing it by himself. And then all of a sudden he realized, I need help. And so he asked his little brother, Clay, to help. And I was thinking, this would be fun to do for about a summer and then move on. And here we are, fast forward 30 years. So the brew pub industry in Chattanooga with Big River grew and then acquired a group of brew pubs from California. And after that, after the dot-com bust and 9/11, the restaurant industry was shaken, and our company, or the company with whom Rob and I were associated, came into hard times. So that group of brew pubs that had been developed at that point got essentially sold, bought, sold. Rob had moved on from the company in 2006, started his own restaurant in Chattanooga. I'm more of a beer guy. And so I stayed with the companies in order to brew. But about 3 years ago, Rob and I saw, hey, we can do this. We can bring the band back together. And Hello Monty is that opportunity.
Now, Hello Monty opened in 2021.
That's right. November 2021 or late October 2021, to be technically accurate. We opened without the brewery because the brewery was still on a ship. So The restaurant was open for a good 4 or 5 months with a big old hole to the side of it where the brewery ended up being once we got it in place.
That had to be a tough time to open up a new restaurant brewery right in the middle of everything. What were you guys thinking? That's
a great question. I'm still thinking that every day. It was obviously our timing wasn't great when we realized we had an opportunity for the location where we are, and we were ready to pull the trigger. Was late 19, early 2000. And so when the pandemic came on full force, Rob and I were pretty much committed.
Yeah.
And we knew it was just a period of unknownness. We knew it wasn't going to last forever. We are still scratching our heads today of what the pandemic did to the industry, to the restaurant industry in general, where I think we still see effects of it today. But we thought that people were going to want to come back out and eat and socialize and share stories over a beer.
I'm looking at the food menu here, and everything looks great. I know personally I'm going to have to fly down for the roasted cauliflower that's El Pastor style. Did your brother come up with like the food menu in this?
No, it was more a collaborative effort. We knew Rob knew that we wanted to be hardwood charcoal forward. So the thing that we tell folks is that something on your dish has been touched by fire. And we don't say that it has a smoked character because it's slightly different. The equipment that we have in the kitchen, while fired by hardwood charcoal, there isn't a lot of smoke. It's a fairly neutral charcoal, and the equipment that we use, which are known as mi brasas, they're a hardwood charcoal oven.
Okay.
The way that they cook the food is at really high temperature, and you get this flavor of fire, but it's not smoke like a smokehouse. It's a subtle difference, and I can't wait for you to experience when you do get down here. But yeah. Rob knew that was the way we wanted to go, but no one in the Southeast had worked a mi brasa, and so the company pointed us to some folks that could help us out. And that's how the menu started going.
Well, I mentioned on the intro about the Vienna Lager. I'm going to open right now. Hello, my name is Pilsner. I'm going to crack this open while I'm pouring this, Clay. What can you tell us about the beer?
It's more of a German Pils. I think you would see Czech or Bohemian Pils to be a little bit more malty. This is a little bit drier, and it has, although it does use Sots, it has Sots and Tettnang as the hops there. The classic comments about lagers being clean and crisp. That's what we're going for here, and I'm very pleased with it where it came out, especially with how the finish and the bitterness, the bitterness almost accentuates that cleanliness by drying out the palate after the swallow.
Yeah, it's really good. I'm having it right now. The color is perfect, good carbonation here. I get a little more malt and a little more bitterness than I was expecting, but it's really good. It works well here. This is a terrific Pilsner.
Oh, cheers. Thank you very much. It's, it's interesting. The word Pilsner was a 4-letter word in the craft brewery 30 years ago because we associated it with adjunct made lagers in the United States. And because back then the word Pilsner was an incredibly popular marketing tool. And for people to experience what can be in a sublime beer and more closely to this form is what I love. It could be a desert island beer for me, pretty close. Yeah. Now the thing about Pilsners, which is interesting, I used to brew a light lager at my former life at Big River, but the light lager held up longer than a Pilsner. The Pilsners just do not age gracefully, and that's the thing. If I were on a desert island, it would have to be a fresh Pilsner, not one that shows its age.
Well, you're on a desert island. You'd have the kegerator there, so it would always be fresh.
It's going to be a perfect world on a desert island, right?
Absolutely. What other beers can people expect when they go to Hello Monty and Dynamo?
So it's kind of it is European. I do have an American IPA, but you I have to admit there's this split personality of me. I sent you our Vienna lager. I sent you the Pilsner. We also have a Helles, and then take a hard right turn, and there are 3 beer engines that are serving classic British style real ale, live ale, cask conditioned beer. And right now we have a British style ESB and a British style porter.
You designed the brewery there, and looking at those styles and hearing you talk about them, was it a challenge to combine the best of both worlds, where you have your traditional European beers along with, everyone has to have an IPA. So how did you create it where you could combine the best of both worlds?
There's so the things that I did were mostly European, but but the fermenters are open top fermenters, and no one does open top fermenters anymore. That's silly. It's silly for me to do. I have to admit, but I wanted to do it, and you can brew European style beers in open top fermenters. But it's also a great place to dry hop if you want to do an American IPA. And it's a great place to rack your cask conditioned beers into a firkin when the time is appropriate. So it means that I have to move the beer one more time if it's a lager. So the brew house fermentation, the third area of the brewery is the horizontal tanks, which are directly behind the bar. And I use there's 9 horizontal tanks that are each temperature controlled. Okay. I'm able to use the ones on the upper level as a secondary fermentation conditioning tank that you would see in a traditional lager brewery.
Do you have a flagship beer at Hello Monty that is your top seller?
It goes neck and neck with the Helles and the IPA. It's interesting going back to the Pilsner name. It seems like IPA is the recognized name for craft beer.
Yeah.
And there are people that know IPAs, and then there are people that don't know craft beer, but they know the word IPA or the initials IPA, and just will ask for that. But the Helles Lager is you can imagine the Southeast United States being pretty hot, especially in the summer. A pale, malty, slightly sweet lager is base, and then we do have a Hefeweizen that also complements the hot weather.
Is there, because you've been doing this now for 30 years, is there like a more personal note? Is there a style of beer that for one reason or another you haven't been able to make yet that you're just dying to sink your teeth into and make this?
I would say it's continuing the European traditions. I would love to sink my teeth into mixed fermentation products. So
okay,
the sours that you see out there are generally, monocultural, just bacterial fermentation. The bacteria is killed in the kettle, and then they move it over and hand it off to the yeast. If you wish to have a true Berliner or a true Goza, it's the tradition of it is of a mixed fermentation, and probably a little Brettanomyces in there also. It piques my interest and intimidates me at the same time.
Yeah. Doing this for so long, and I know a friend of mine always wants me to ask the people in the brewing community that comes on, how long did it take for you personally to feel like I've got this? Or does that ever happen? Are you still always like nervous, apprehensive when it comes to making a new beer?
It's there. I have three answers for you.
Yeah.
The first answer is when we first started brewing, we didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Yeah.
And nor did the people drinking it. So we had a lot of freedom to produce probably what were not the best beers in the world. When we decided to do, when we decided to say, hey, we need to improve what we're doing, the use of analysis tool, organoleptic analysis tools and other spiking kits and whatnot just was an explosion of knowledge. And then we realized, oh my God, what this is what we've been doing, and this is what we need to change.
Yeah.
You fast forward, I got pretty competent, especially on the brewing system. But whenever we were doing something new, it is you nail down an IPA, you nail down a brown ale or whatever when you're brewing it once every 3 or 4 weeks on that brewing system. So you become intimately knowledgeable with that brewing system and with that recipe. When you try to do a totally different recipe still on that brewery system, there's a little bit of nervousness. The biggest nervousness, I would say, in my career has been the past year or so. So I've got a brand new brewery that, frankly, I designed, and I walked in it with kind of little bit of an attitude, saying, "Oh yeah, I've been brewing this long. This is going to be a layup," and not the case. I've been struggling with what I want the beers to be versus the beers that were coming out, and I'm getting much closer. I'm about, I would say, 90% done, but it was extremely humbling to not have the intimacy on this brewery like I had with all the breweries in the past. All the breweries in the past have been essentially iterations of one style of brewery. And that's the reason why I designed this brewery. I wanted to say, okay, these are the flaws. Over the past 10 years or so, I was saying, I love this brewery, but this needs to be fixed. This needs to be fixed. So what are the solutions to this? So I was for a time always thinking about how to design a better mousetrap. And I had this opportunity here, but I never brewed on this mousetrap.
Yeah.
And so I'm having to relearn a lot. The other thing that has been humbling in the past year is I left a company with whom I brewed for 28 years or so. I had a huge impact on those recipes. And those recipes are still being brewed today, and they're being brewed quite well. Teresa Centel. She's an excellent brewer. But if I was going to try to strike out my own in a small pond that Chattanooga is, I felt like I needed to restart the recipe process. So what you're tasting is a totally different recipe than the Pilsners that I brewed at Big River.
Well, from the two that I've had, and I'm going to have the other 3 or 4 this week, and I'll talk about them on the show after the interview. If the Vienna Lager and the Pilsner are only 90% of what you think it could become, I need to go down there and try them when they're 100, because they're both spectacular as is right now.
Yeah, it's very kind. I appreciate it, Dave. Especially it's interesting. You know, the Southeast is not known for being a beer center, a beer area, forward area, but Chicago is. Mm-hmm. You know, and I've been to a couple of craft breweries. In fact, I went to the Ray Daniels used to have a cask condition, a real ale festival up there.
Yeah.
I think I attended the second one that was up there.
All right.
But I always loved the city, but the beer culture there is remarkable.
Yeah, it's like everywhere else. It's growing leaps and bounds, and like the area that I'm at, I could walk to 4 places that have spectacular world-class beer. So it is a great time to be alive and be a beer nerd.
Cheers. Agree. Yeah. It's interesting. It's very dynamic for brewers. Obviously you're seeing a lot of changes, a lot of cells, a lot of people combining groups, but at the same time, I couldn't think of another industry to be in.
Let's get to Chattanooga now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading here, it's been named by Lonely Planet as the best in the United States. The New York Times named Chattanooga as one of the top 45 places to go in the world. I could always Google it, but I'd rather ask you, what do you recommend people to do or see when they come to town?
The thing that we've been extremely lucky is we have a lot of areas that have been protected. Some of it by mistake, just by luck, and some of it intentionally. So the thing that my wife and I love to do is trail run, and I can't tell you how many trails or how many miles of trails are available here, but that's the scenic beauty of Chattanooga, especially expressed on those trails, is unmatched. You know, that the comeback story of Chattanooga is that we were named the dirtiest city in 69. Walter Cronkite reported it. That video is out there somewhere saying that.
Well, if Walter Cronkite reported it, then that was like the voice of God. Yeah,
it was. Yeah. So I mean, and he said that we were named the dirtiest city in the country from pollution standpoint, and it was true. We had a lot of industry here, a lot of metal smelting and coal fired, what have you, and actually chemical manufacturers here. And there was an intentional effort to try to clean Chattanooga up. Simultaneously, the downtown area was emptied by the Great White Flight to the suburbs. So you had this post-industrial a rust city in the south, a rust belt city in the south that had a lot of potential and a lot of civic love, but was struggling.
Yeah.
And in 1992 is when the Tennessee Aquarium was opened, and it was the beginning. It's celebrated as well. It was the beginning of the Renaissance of Chattanooga, and it is an aquarium that tracks the Tennessee River, which flows right through Chattanooga from its headwaters all the way down to the Gulf. And even though it's been here since 92, I still recommend it to folks to try it out.
And also, I know a lot of these minor league teams keep changing names all the time. You still have the Lookouts there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great point. Chattanooga Lookouts, one, the name, right? Mm-hmm. And the mascot, Louis the Lookout. Yeah. And it's a name that's been with us since the early 1900s.
Okay.
and they are currently playing in what's known as the AT&T field. It's close to the aquarium, but they're due to get a new stadium about a stone's throw from Hello Monty, and an area that was a brown field, a blighted area that used to be U.S. Pipe, and it's going to be a really cool stadium.
Oh, awesome.
Their original stadium, Ingalls Stadium, built in 1933, is what I love the most. I remember going to games at Ingalls Stadium, and I think I would love for someone to check me on this, but Babe Ruth played there and Michael Jordan played there.
Oh.
Michael Jordan had a short career in baseball. Played for the Birmingham Barons. I wonder if that's the only stadium that hosted those two players.
I'm sure someone's going to be typing away on Google as they're listening to this.
I need to know the answer. So obviously a long history with the Lookouts, and it's I can't wait for the new stadium. It's Double-A baseball has been a long time, and it's been around in Chattanooga for a very long time. And a lot of the communities in this area are part of the Southern League, and that is a really established league, and minor league baseball is under a lot of pressure, but there's so much, it's Americana. It's history. And it's, I hope the Lookouts and Double-A baseball thrives.
Yeah, I have relatives in Southern Indiana, and I remember fondly growing up going to see Evansville games in this really old stadium and seeing like Mark Fidrich before he became the Bird, and, other players there. So yeah, I always love going to minor league games. It brings back a lot of fond memories for me.
It's special, and it's a great, the one of the things that I love about beer, and I think baseball is part of it, is that sense of community, that gathering. A town like yours has incredible sports groups that really brings that kind of civic pride and brings everybody together. And we have a minor league baseball. We also have a soccer, a minor league soccer team that also, both of them, it's really cool to see folks get into it and celebrate.
Well, after they do all that in Chattanooga, go to the trails, see a Lookouts game, you have to go to Hello Monty and eat and drink. Once again, this is on 306 West Main Street. Now, the beer's here. Do you distribute it all, or is it just right there? You have to pick it up at Dynamo.
So yeah, it's we do some crowling, and we take pains to package it correctly. But I've had a packaging career, and when Rob and I opened Hello Monty and Dynamo Brewing, I swore I wouldn't package again. So if you really want the Dynamo beer experience, please come and visit and ask if I'm around. Would love to say hey to anyone that actually came here because of our conversation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I work for an airline, so I need to jump on a flight. We do have flights out of Chicago to Chattanooga. So
that's right.
I'll have to see if we could leave our dog behind, or even take the dog, make a drive down there and bring the dog and take the dog on some of the trails to see Hello Monty. Looking at the menu again. Yeah, this menu looks, now I have in front of me the brunch and the dinner menu. This looks great. Looking at like recipes or dishes like the Italian sausage flatbread, the prime New York steak, you have mussels, pork tenderloin, a 6-ounce sirloin butcher's cut. I'm hungry now, and I'm getting ready to go to work, and I think I got a PBJ. So this probably wasn't the best time to start this interview.
Yeah, it's easy. It's easy for me to get hungry at this hour too. So I don't blame you. The fun thing about it is a beer company accompanies all those items quite well. Mm-hmm. And while we are technically a brew pub, which I'm afraid has a negative connotation for people who love food. That we were able to do something different. I would say the food is a lot more mindful here, and we got an incredible group working in the kitchen that if you do get a chance to visit, I think you'll enjoy it.
I'm talking to my wife when I get home from work. We're gonna figure out a way. We got to get down to Chattanooga and check out Hello Monty. Clay, I really appreciate you coming on and taking time out. I appreciate you sending over the beers. These are spectacular. Later on in the show, I'm going to have the rest of them, and I'll give you more in-depth, talk about them. But if they're half as good as the Pilsner and the Vienna Lager that I've had so far, they're going to be great. Clay, I really appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, Dave, thank you so much for having me, and appreciate talking about beer. It's my second favorite activity. Tipping one is my first.
All right, got it. All right, Clay, well, you have a good rest of your day, sir, and I will hopefully see you soon down at Hello Monty.
Sounds great. Take care, Dave.
Okay, you too. Thanks.
Hamilton is returning. Get tickets today for the Tony, Olivier, Grammy, and Pulitzer Prize-winning musical. It's the story of America then, told by America now. In Chicago at the James M. Niederlander Theater. Get tickets at BroadwayInChicago.com.
When you save on auto insurance for driving safe with USAA Safe Pilot, you'll feel like a big deal, even in a traffic jam. Save up to 30% with USAA Safe Pilot. Restrictions apply.
Hey, this is Grab and Brisket Podcast. Join us every Monday where we talk about the latest trends in barbecue, interviews with world top pitmasters, celebrity cooks,
like Wee Man from Jackass,
and musicians.
Like Rich O'Toole?
So check us out. We do beer reviews, barbecue fails.
So many fires.
Dude, a lot of people just burn their houses down for no reason.
We also talk about cocaine hippos versus meth gators,
Learn how to make some tailgate gravy.
altercations with Texas Rangers.
People throwing Reese's peanut butter cups.
Yeah, so check out grabthebrisket.com for podcast info, viral social media posts, and so much more.
The next one I want to talk about from Hello Monty is their IPA. I had this. They sent over a couple cans of a few of their different styles, so this was really good. But I want to talk about it more on the show, so let's bust it open. Their IPA has a really nice dark color to it. Good carbonation, good egg white foam here, good 2 fingers, looks really good. Smells good. Smells like, get that nice West Coast hops aroma here. Smells very nice. No, that's really good. A lot of malt character here. Then the hop flavors come through with the bitterness at the end. This is really good. Everything that I've had from them has been phenomenal, and this IPA is no exception. I loved their Vienna Lager. Their Pilsner was good. The Helles. Nice to see that the American IPA style, they knock that out of the park as well. So by all means, head over to Chattanooga and get yourself some Hello Monty. Their IPA is a winner. All right, one of the beers I'm going to have from Dynamo right now is their Helles Lager. I'm looking forward to this. Everything that I've had so far from them has been really good, so I like a Helles. Let's bust open the Helles. Really good carbonation here. Nice color, very good golden amber color. Nice aroma. It smells very clean. Nice aroma here. Get a nice malt taste here. Good finish. Maybe I'm getting a little bitterness into this, but I think this is phenomenal. No, that's another winner from Hello Monty and Dynamo. I'm going to need to move because everything they're putting out is fantastic. So if you're in the Chattanooga area, pick up a Helles Lager from Dynamo and Hello Monty. The Chicago beer in front I'm going to have this week is from Maplewood. This is their Pulaski Pils. I've had this before. I'm a big fan of this. It's on the can. It says it's a Chicago Pilsner. This is one of the best in Chicago, so let's bust it open. Pulaski Pils has a really nice, light golden color, good foam here. I get a nice, they use Warrior hops here and Santium, and I get a little of the hop aroma. I think it smells really good. Refreshing, crisp. They use Pilsner malt with a little bit of Vienna malt, not a lot. As I'm drinking it, the malt hits me first. Little bit of the hops at the end. I think this is a really good classic Chicago Pilsner. Not very high in alcohol. This is only 5.1%. So this is something you could have a few of. It's really good. I like everything that Maplewood puts out, but grab you a Pulaski Pils. All right, that's going to wrap things up for this week's edition of Beer in Front. I thank you very much for listening. I want to thank once again Clay Gentry over at Hello Monty and Dynamo Brewing over in Chattanooga. Their beers were absolutely phenomenal. I need to get to Chattanooga, so if you're in that area, please head over to Hello Monty and tell them you heard about it over on Beer in Front. Next week's show is going to be good. I'm going to talk to Ryan over at Soundtrack Your Life. That was a fun talk. I always enjoy talking to Ryan. Good beer guy, good music guy. That's going to come out next week. Have a great week, everyone. And remember, sometimes the beer in front of you is the best one yet. All right, we'll talk to you next week.
Trying to grab all the groceries in one trip? Oof, not how you would have done that. You know sometimes less is more. Like when you drive less and save with the USAA annual mileage discount. USAA. Get a quote today.